Jussara Korngold. Jussara is the founder and president of the Spiritist Alliance for Books, SAB, a nonprofit organization which has the aim to promote and disseminate Spiritism in English as codified by Allan Kardec. Ms. Korngold is also one of the founders and president of the Spiritist Group of New York, located in Manhattan, New York City. Ms. Korngold is also a published author and has been translating Spiritist materials and books since 1993. Jussara is currently the president of the United States Spiritist Federation, executive director of the Tri-State Spiritist Federation, and executive director of the International Spiritist Federation. Ms. Korngold is fluent in Portuguese, English, French, and Spanish. Ms. Korngold has been working as a volunteer in the Office of Brazil Child Health in New York since its opening in 2000 as its main executive. Her subject is the meaning of success. Please welcome Jussara. Thank you.
Let me put this here too. Okay, first of all, I would like to, on behalf of the United States Spiritist Federation, to thank all of you that have participated in this event, for all the federations, the Spiritist Federation of Florida, the Tri-State Spiritist Federation, the Spiritist Societies of Maryland, the Spiritist Groups and Union of Georgia, and more in particular to this Spiritist Center that is hosting this event today. I am very grateful to be part of it, to be a part of this project. You all know how hard it is for us, Brazilians, to have come to this country and to try our best to do and to try to work and disseminate in Spiritism in English, despite our accents and faults when we are speaking. But we are learning, and I think we are here basically trying to speak the language of love and to do all that we can to embrace all of those that are actually seeking for the same way that once it happened to us, to seek enlightenment, to seek answers for the so many doubts we have, so many questions we have in life. We have been having a beautiful day. I would like to show my gratitude as well to all the speakers. I don't know about you, but I've learned so much. I'm living here with so much to think about it. Some of you may say, is that so? And I would say, in my case, today, yes, right? I have learned that it is pivotal for us to have new vocabulary for the third millennium human being, because we still do not know, or we will not be able to express ourselves and our new emotions in relation to compassion, in relation to respect, in relation of love, to what it is about to come. And we are here actually to build the new human being in ourselves and the future. And so we need this vocabulary. So it's beautiful that we are capable of doing that, and that we are each time more capable of embracing and look at each and every one and see the beauty that exists in us all. It's also wonderful that we are finding out that the wealth that we want so much to amass is much more than just the material goods, but is actually more related to the wealth of the spirit. And what is the meaning of success? Well, to some, it will be one thing, to others it will be a different thing. Imagine, I don't have my, I don't see it here. I imagine that, when we are thinking about crossing the bridge of success, each one of us will have a different bridge. To each one of us, success will mean a different thing. I need something to change the slides. Oh, okay, can I have it here? Oh, okay, so I just make a sign, but okay, let's see how it works. So get back to the other one. So. It was here, I saw it. Oh, okay. It was hidden. Okay. So to each one of us is going to be a different road, a different bridge. Maybe, thinking about everything that our brothers in arms here have presented to us, and also by hearing the spectacular advancements that we are living today, and it really feels like you are in the third millennium when Marcia brought to us all this innovation in terms of the health care in the whole world. It is amazing. But at the same time that I was hearing that, I was thinking, are we going still to measure success by the amount of things, of technology that we have, or are we going to measure that by the amount of compassion and respect that we will have for each other? Because we can have all of these tremendous advancements at our disposal, especially when we talk about healthcare. But what is the point of having all of this if when you are face to face with someone that is ill, in need of your attention, that is hurting physically, emotionally, spiritually speaking, and we are not paying attention to them, and we are not looking at them with love? So the road for success, the word defines success mainly by the measuring of the amount of wealth, power, and popularity a person obtains in this world. So it could be through power, like we said. It could, if it was Susanna presented to us, it could be beauty, it could be wealth, it could be health, it could be something else for a different person. But the thing is, the definition of success are still very deceptive and tragic because they focus on what is fleeting and passing and ignore what is lasting and eternal. So when I read that, while I was preparing the talk for us today, I was thinking, I heard that before. Who said that before in a different way? Paul of Tarsus. It's been 2,000 years that it has been with us. So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen. Since what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. Why are we still struggling in learning and understanding that the road to success, the meaning to success, goes beyond what we can see and what we measure in this little amount of time that we have on this earth? And so Joseph Campbell, he wrote the following: you climb the ladder of success, and when you get to the top, you find it's leaning against the wrong wall. So when Julio was presenting his talk and explaining about the so many spiritual colonies that we have here, how many of us are climbing this wall thinking we are going to get to North Solar? And then, surprise, surprise, you're not going to get there, because what you are measuring, what you're thinking is going to get you there, not necessarily is the road that will lead to this place that we may call heaven, that we may call, finding the truth and the spiritual progress that we are looking for. So we have been seeing here, in terms of our program today, wealth. What is the wealthy individual? Success is much more than just material wealth. So we have to become wealthy in terms of good deeds. How much are we actually trying to do? And remember that Emmanuel once said, in terms of spiritism, the true charity you can do is to spread the word. So it's not necessarily giving the soup. There are so many people. There are over 2 million nonprofit organizations working in benefit of the humankind, and this is a 10-year-old number. Okay? Here in this country, from this 2 million, we have 1.5. So the United States is not in need of our helping hand in terms of giving soup to others. But they are desperately in need of people that can lead and enlighten their souls. The ones that, like when Jesus came and was talking to the woman, the Samaritan, at the well, he said, I can give you the water that is going to forever appease your thirst. This is what we need. We have all been there, and I think we still are, because, life is not easy for any of us. We've been facing so many struggles in life. It's part of this planet. It's part of what we are doing and how it's our process of growing. So it's still today, even with this blessed doctrine, this blessed philosophy, we need this knowledge, this understanding to help us to keep going. So can we think about our brothers and sisters that do not have that? I heard this week talk of the Dalai Lama 2 days ago that he gave, it was actually Wednesday, he gave in Frankfurt. And the Dalai Lama is the Dalai Lama, right? I'm a huge fan. I had the opportunity of seeing him personally. It's really amazing just to hear him laughing. I mean, it's the most beautiful laugh, apart from that of Divaldo, that I have seen. And so there was a woman in this Frankfurt theater, a German woman. And it was in the part they were asking questions. And she came, and she opened her heart, and she said, I'm not here to ask for things or to ask for things for myself. But I have a very dear friend, and her little son, her little child is dying. And so the only thing I would like from you is that you could teach me a mantra that I could pronounce every day to help her son and herself to go through that. I thought it was so beautiful. I mean, hearing that, I said, oh my God, look how wonderful hearts there exist in the world. And then the Dalai Lama replied and taught her a mantra. I have to confess to you, I was so disappointed. I was hoping that he was going to say, you don't need a mantra. You have already a heart of gold. And whatever you're thinking when you are raising your thought to help this family, you're already there. So at that moment, I came to the realization of how blessed we are with the enlightenment we receive from Spiritism. Here we have this holy man that knows and do so many beautiful things, travel the world. But to me, I don't know about yourself, but to me, I thought it was lacking something at that moment. It's not by saying Rashashika Shalashika that I'm going to be helping anyone. So we all have those things and those opportunities. So what are the good deeds we are doing? In terms of achieving a healthy life, health is the perfect state of mind, as the Spirit Emmanuel says. It's not the perfect state of the body that is going to perish. And by the way, we know that the body doesn't die as well, right? You all know that, right? The spirit doesn't die, and the body doesn't die either, because it's matter and returns to matter. So when we think about death, when you talk about death, and thinking, no, my body is going to die, my spirit is going to live forever, my body is not going to die. Not even my body is going to die. Because it's going to be returning to nature, to the universal fluid. living a long and productive life, conquering through power, mastering the art of talking and listening and being capable of understand and being there for people, to me is something that represents true power. And in terms of beauty, what is beauty? I mean, you can be beautiful for 20, 30 days. After that, it all goes downhill, right? According to the human standards. So if you just put all your coins on that, you are going on a journey to disappointment, right? So being a success does not make you happy. Being happy makes you a success. One thing that I like it very much is it's very easy for us to look at people and say, oh my God, Julio, how come you can give beautiful lectures like that? How come you can do such a wonderful presentation like that, Susanna and Kirsten and Marcia? And people will say, oh, it's because you know, you were born with that. Were you born with that? I was not. Okay. Maybe a little bit. I always like to talk, but but definitely. And I don't know, for those who do not know, I'm kind of hearing impaired, and I say thank God, because I'm here talking, so I don't have to be there listening, which is going to be a problem for me many times. That's why I normally sit in the front row. So we look at people and we measure their success, even when we are talking about faith. Oh, I envy your faith. You have such a faith. And we learn in the Spirit's book, it says that faith is not built in a day. It's something that we have been working and hard to get it there. And then what is what do we do then? We envy people, or we think that they had it easy. And when we look at the struggles that people go through and what they had to overcome, and sometimes this is where we are going to find most success. Not on people that had it easy, because it was always so easy for them. So it's important for us to know that the road to success is not a straight line. It doesn't look like this. It looks like this. And it requires learning, training, instruction, practice, and the beautiful saying that we have in English, no pain, no gain. It says it all, right? Albert Schweitzer says, success is not the key to happiness. Happiness is the key to success. If you love what you are doing, you will be successful. When I think about myself in terms of the Spiritist doctrine, I think I'm kind of following that, because I really have a passion for that, for Spiritism, from what I've been learning, from how it has helping me, growing me, and even to be alive today. So everything that I try to do, although I'm very aware of my many failures, I do out of love for this beautiful doctrine. And so thinking and making a correlation with that, you will see that the best professionals we will meet, you will see that they are good because they love what they do. They appreciate the opportunity of what has been given to them. And sometimes we are so picky. I come from São Paulo, which is a gigantic city. The last thing I wanted to was to move to New York City. I wanted a different experience, more rural life, or, not that same busy, crazy, noisy life like I used to have in São Paulo. So it was never a city that attracted me. And well, I'm there, living there for 18 years, I think. But it was still a struggle. And many times people would come home to me and say, oh my God, how wonderful it is that you live in New York City. I would give the world just to visit that city. And so I started hearing that so much. And then I said, one day I think it finally sank in, and I said, oh my God, what am I doing? It is the dream of so many people, and here I am not even appreciating where I'm living. So I changed my way of thinking, my way of seeing things. And today I love that noisy, crazy New York City. And I feel so blessed because we could bring to the heart of the city the first Spiritist Center 17 years ago. What a blessing for us to have this opportunity. Is this an example of success or not? I don't know. One day we will think about it, but I think it's the beginning of that. So in terms of integrity, in terms of success, in terms of growing, we have this great story about this Arab mathematician. I'm not even going to dare to pronounce his name, that was asked about the human being's value. And so his answer was the following. Of course, it has to be in numbers. Okay, he was a mathematician. So he said, let's say that ethics is equivalent to 1. And if you add intelligence to it, like a 0, you will have, instead of 1, you have 10. If you add wealth, you put another 0, you will have then 100. And then beauty, another 0, you have 1,000. But what happens if you remove the 1 of ethics? You are living with 0. So I think it's something that it has to be food for thought, right? We have to think about it. Because we are we are just focusing on the zeros of life. And here in ethics, we may think, ethics, what is ethics? Moral values. And what is Spiritism is here to come to give us, to teach us? Moral values. You remove the moral values, like Susanna presented from the book of Eckhart Tolle, we have nothing. We may have all this technology, all this beautiful concierge care, and people from all over the world coming, but if they don't have the way of treating, of hearing the human being, if they don't sonder the new vocabulary from Koenig, where we are going to be looking at each one of us as human beings, as individuals, and what we have inside of us, nothing is actually going to matter much. So there was this poster that says the following. Thomas Edison designed over 500 light bulbs before he got one to work. Henry Ford forgot to put a reverse in the first car he built. It's funny, right? This one. William Jennings Bryan invited the landlocked country of Switzerland to a naval convention. The point of the poster was no matter who we are, we will make some mistakes along the way. The real difference between a successful life and a failed life is not in the ability of the person, it is the desire in the person. It is what we hear a lot when we study or when we go through some Eastern philosophies, the mindfulness, how you have to be mindful of everything you're doing. You're here giving a talk, you'll be mindful of that. You're here sitting, you being in the moment. is the famous The Power of Now too. You being in the moment, you having the desire, you being present and enjoying and getting advantage of this time that you are dedicating supposedly to learn and to go through that. And so in the very simple way of describing is not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog. How much do we really want to be successful? How much do we really want to achieve this road to success, to power, health, beauty, and wealth, and something else? How are we using our possibilities, our tools, to achieve the success that we are looking for? Of course, in our case here, I hope at this point in time, we are already looking for success in a more profitable spiritual way, in how we can actually focus on our inner possibilities and do the changes that we need in order to become better people. So, the secret of a successful spiritual life is not in victories or perfection, but in the desire, drive, and determination of the person. Sometimes people come to me and say, Jussara, please pray for me because God will hear you. And I say, you know what? The only difference between you and me in terms of God listening to what we are saying is that I talk to God, you don't. You start doing that, and each is going to start looking to you as well and helping you. So what is the desire, the determination, the persistence? We are not required here to become perfect citizens. If you're thinking you're going to achieve that, I have a bad news for you. You're not. We're not. But are we going to become better after the incarnation? Yes, sure, if we apply ourselves to that. So, Khalil Gibran says, your living is determined not so much by what life brings to you as by the attitude you bring to life. Not so much by what happens to you as by the way your mind looks at what happens. So to translate that in English, I found that the same boiling water that softens the potato also makes the egg hard. It's not the circumstances that change people, but it's what's inside them. So how are we receiving things in life? Susanna brought a beautiful example of that about, the wise man. There was too many wise men here. If it was my story, perhaps not this one, I would say it was a wise woman, which is so much more real, right? I don't know what they keep insisting on wise man, So it's because perhaps if I come here and say a wise woman, I'm stating the obvious. Sorry, I know we change genders in incarnation, but we have to start bringing more awareness to gender's equality and respect. So in this case, we see, that the story of the wise man, that of course in this case supposedly impregnated the woman, his attitude of accepting, non-resisting, because, this is the reality. Life will bring to you what you need. And here we cannot say this potato is better because it's going to be softened. Depending on your point of view, you can say, I don't want to be soft like a potato. I prefer to be, hard. Hard not in the way of being mad, but having strength, courage, determination like the egg. We can interpret that the way we want to. But the thing is, where are we looking for success? What is going to be our road in this sense? There is a wonderful passage in chapter 17 of the Gospel according to Spiritism that at the same time that is beautiful, it can lead you to a momentary depression. Some of you may know already which one I'm talking to. Is the one that talks about the moral persons, that gives us a list of what we have to do to achieve perfection. And why I think this is very opportune for the moment for what we are discussing here. Because here we are talking about spiritual success. We are understanding that unless us as spirit start paying more attention to our eternal, immortal being, none of the rest will matter. We will be looking and looking and looking. I used to have that in my very small office, a plate that I would say, money doesn't bring happiness. And then it continues, but it helps to suffer in Paris. Okay, but this is not what we're looking for here, right? We're not looking for, being eating croissants and sightseeing and Champs-Élysées. We are looking for, something else. From the spiritual Paris, perhaps, and this is the road, this is the way for us. So it says, those who practice the law of justice, love, and charity, they question their conscience about their actions, question if they have done any evil, and if they have done all the good they could. Well, this guy is doing very well, right? I don't know how we are doing in the test so far, but he's a good example for us. And here it continues. If they have done unto others everything they would like to have done unto themselves, they have faith in God and in God's goodness, justice, and wisdom. They have faith in the future. They place spiritual possessions about temporal ones. How many did we take? Don't answer. Right? But how hard is this? And I know every time I have to do my gospel at home, and it's the day that I open at random and I go to this page and said, oh my God. It's so hard. I think it's so hard on us somehow, right? I mean, do we have faith in the future? Why do we complain so much? If I have faith in the future, am I placing the spiritual possessions about temporal ones? Julia said it well. How many people are there, enjoying their Saturdays, being here supposedly in the spirit, while they could be here working with us, motivating us all to continue in this work. It's not an easy world, and I think for sure we owe a lot in terms of the building a new world, this third millennium, the spiritual third millennium that we want, that we were invited to come here. But at the same time, it's an honor. It's not a sacrifice. It's an honor being invited to be part of this work that we are doing. And so I prefer not to think that I'm here just because I need to pay out, for some debts that definitely we have in relation to the world, but because they saw something in me, in each one of us, and they put their trust in us. They gave in our hands the future, the spiritual future of this country. It may not seem much, but very much like the story that in Portuguese calls A Vaca Foi Pro Varejo. I actually have that in the website the website of the United States Spiritist Federation. The course is about inner transformation. We translated as best as we could. I don't even remember how a vaca foi pro brejo. But are we still going to be just thinking or depending on others to see our progress? Or it's time for us to really work on ourselves? They accept trials or expiations without complaining. They do the good for its own sake without expecting anything in return. They repay evil with good. They defend the weak against the strong. They, in all circumstances, charity is their guide. They hold no hatred or rancor or desire for vengeance. They forgive and forget our offenses. They are indulgent towards others' weaknesses. They never take pleasure in searching for defects in others. Sure, right? They always look for the good that might mitigate the evil. They study their own imperfection and strive incessantly to combat them. All their efforts are focused on being able to say to themselves tomorrow that they are better than they were yesterday. I think this is a beautiful goal for us. We don't need to be like this person, that person, like Jesus, like Francis of Assisi, or Chico Xavier, or Mother Teresa, or a Dalai Lama. We just need to become better than we were yesterday. It's not much. It's not much to ask. And I think it's so wonderful the way the spirits put this all together for us. They seize every opportunity to point out what is praiseworthy in other people. They do not gloat over their wealth or their personal advantages. They use but do not abuse the possessions that have been accorded to them. They treat them with kindness and benevolence. They understand the duties of position and are scrupulous in conscientiously fulfilling them. They respect in their fellow beings all the rights arising from the laws of nature in the same way they wish their own to be respected. So those are things that we should be reading more without feeling bad about ourselves. But, we have to have a goal. We have to have a guide for us. And this is the perfect guide of things that we can achieve. Because the spirits told us, this is not a list of all the qualities that define moral persons, but whoever makes an effort to possess them is on the road that leads to all the others. This is the part that makes me feel sad, actually. What? I read all of that. I have less than 20%, and you're still saying is not all of it. But then he comes and says, whoever makes an effort. So what does success mean to us? What will be the bridge that each one of us will be crossing after this beautiful afternoon, beautiful day that we had in terms of working and meditating together about the true values of life? Am I going to stay with the zeros? Are they going to be more valuable to me than my moral search, the ethics, the moral values? We have the option, because also this blessed philosophy gives us free will to use our possibilities the way that we can. And we are not here on a particular level seeking for personal success. Not in the way the world understands. And I understand that sometimes it may be a very solitary road, because many of your friends, your family members are not going to understand your path. And if this is all, it's still good. Some of them will even blackmail you, threaten you. If you continue doing that, we will have to rethink our relationship. So there is a lot on this road of picking up ourselves from the so many failures, so many opportunities we had in the past, and put ourselves up and go and have the determination, the courage to face everything we have to face in this path. It can be solitary in terms of physicality, but in terms of spirituality, we may be sure that we have so many spirits accompanying us. And I'm talking about the good ones, about the ones that have been loving us and that have been cheering for us to grow for so many centuries or millennia. So we're giving this opportunity now. But how are we going to deal with that? Are we going to be acting with that like the dry fig tree? Keeping all of this just to ourselves? Or as good spiritists, as missionaries of this work, not missionaries on a particular level, but missionaries of this work, are we going to give the little light, the little knowledge, the little possibilities we have to be also part of this changing of this world? This is the invitation. This is how I view success. Of course, I'm here presenting it according to my point of view, and I ask you for forgiveness if this is not your point of view. I'm thinking with an eye for spirituality. If you ask me, are you there already? I may reply, maybe. Most probably not. But I already have the fuel of the desire and the understanding that this is the right way for us. My knees are going to be bleeding from the many falls I will have along the way. People are going to throw stones at us because we will not have the sympathy of the world if we are constantly reminding people of the need they have to also go in the same road. So sometimes we are unwanted guests because we remind them of what they have to start doing while we are already in this road, even if hurt by it. So this is the invitation that the spirits bring to us. We start looking and paying attention on what is unseen, because the unseen is eternal. The seen is going to perish. And it's not going to return to nature in the sense, because we are talking about material things. We should feel very blessed, and I feel this blessing right now for having the opportunity of sharing these thoughts, this desire amongst friends, among people like myself. They are striving in this road because now we know better about the so many possibilities that we have, the things that we have been learning here today that has given us so much. We can be and we should be in this road to spiritual success. Do not fear. Do not feel that we will be alone in this journey. In the same way that when I heard that woman from the other side, other part of the world, barely speaking, with a very broken English, broken than mine, trying to communicate with the Dalai Lama. I'm here because I want to pray for others. I'm not asking anything for myself. It filled my heart with such joy, with such hope. We are many in the world, and we are going to meet each other. We are going to find those that are in the same road and are in the same path as we are. So I thank you so much for your generosity, for the state of Georgia, for putting this event together, for Susanna, who is actually the idealizer, how do I say, the one that came with the idea of joining efforts of the federations in the first place. And I know how hard she worked to do that. And this is the second, almost third, so to say, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of things to be done. And I think we are on the right road to success. Thank you so much for your attention, and until next time.